Hi everyone, I'm Thu Ha, and I'm 22 years old. This is my very first video capturing what life is really like struggling to make ends meet as a young woman in Vietnam. This tiny rental room, barely 15 square meters with peeling wall paint, is where I call home. Even though life is tough, filled with constant financial strain and hard labor, I wanted to turn on this camera today. I want to share the honest, unfiltered moments of my daily life, the quiet battles for survival, and the small hopes I hold on to. I really hope this humble little space of mine can reach kind hearts out there and become a cozy corner where we can connect and keep each other company. Thank you for walking through this first day with me. Another morning begins in my cramped Hanoi studio. Every single day, as soon as my feet touch the cold, aged floor tiles and I look up at the cracked walls, I remind myself to push a little harder. I walk over to the small washroom, splash cold water on my face to wake myself up, and carefully pick up my toothbrush. After washing up, I head back to fold my thin blanket neatly. Breakfast today is as basic as it gets. A plain baguette I bought yesterday evening because it was cheaper, paired with a glass of tap water. Biting into the dry bread and taking slow sips of water at my plain wooden desk, I smile and tell myself, just having something to fill my stomach before work is a blessing.
I would like this one, please.
By 8 a.m., I put on my neat work shirt and arrive at the small eatery. My shift starts with moving heavy wooden tables and wiping down greasy surfaces left over from last night. For 4 straight hours, my hands never get a moment's rest. The second I finish serving and clearing tables, I rush straight into the cramped back kitchen to tackle a towering pile of greasy aluminum dishes and stained plates. The dish soap leaves my hands feeling rough and dry, and my legs ache from standing nonstop. Around noon, the owner hands me my short-term cash pay for the week. Holding those slightly damp, crumpled bills in my hands, I honestly feel like crying tears of relief. For lunch, I treat myself to a cheap, simple plate of rice before taking a quick 20-minute nap on a plastic stool. Just enough to recharge before heading out to my afternoon dishwashing gig at another shop. After my afternoon shift, I stop by the local secondhand market near my alley. It's been so long since I bought any new clothes.
Hi everyone, welcome to the market. Look at these amazing bargains. Wow, look at these sweaters. This vintage tag is so cool. Perfect for autumn.
Here, piles of worn garments with faded foreign brand tags are stacked everywhere.
Look at this vintage find. This flannel is in really good condition. The buttons and collar look perfect. It's definitely a great find.
Seeing other people happily picking out nice outfits, I hesitantly wander into a few stalls. My hands carefully sift through the racks of used t-shirts and worn jeans, checking every single seam for tears or loose threads. Standing in front of a stained, dusty mirror, I hold a faded, light-colored shirt against myself. It fits just right, and it costs less than a bowl of noodle soup. I leave feeling so relieved to find a decent, presentable piece of clothing that actually fits my tight budget. Leaving the clothing stalls, I head deeper into the local wet market to grab groceries for dinner.
Look at these beautiful tomatoes and
passing by the stalls with fresh jumping fish, pork, and chicken.
This one is perfect for you. This one is perfect for you. Just a little over.
I can only glance at them wistfully and walk past. My budget simply doesn't allow it. I stop by a vegetable stand to pick up a bundle of water spinach, 2 tomatoes, a couple of fresh tofu blocks, and a few eggs. The humble staples that keep me going. I also buy a small jar of pickled crunchy eggplants to add some flavor to my meal.
This looks amazing!
As dusk falls, I walk past an old sweet soup stand at the head of the alley. The rich aroma of coconut milk and palm sugar makes my stomach rumble. I decide to treat myself to a 10,000 Vietnamese dong glass of traditional chai. Looking at the colorful toppings, refreshing green jelly, shredded coconut, chewy black pearls, crispy white pearls, soft red beans, and silky tofu pudding. Taking one sweet, cool bite, all the fatigue from a long day of hard labor just seems to melt away.
Wow, look at all these toppings! I cannot wait to try this. This looks amazing! Look at these green pandan jelly cubes and this ruby red chestnut jelly. So smooth. Which one do you want?
I wheel my squeaky old motorbike back into my room and start cooking. A simple dinner of golden fried tofu, boiled water spinach, and pickled eggplants is set out on my rustic wooden desk. After eating, I step out onto the tiny balcony and look up at the night sky. Gazing at the few faint stars twinkling above the chaotic Hanoi cityscape, my heart feels a little lighter, easing the deep sense of loneliness that comes with living alone in a big city. Thank you all so much for patiently watching my journey today. If you enjoyed this video and want to give me a little boost of motivation, you can buy me a virtual coffee or support my living expenses through the details on the screen. Every small contribution means the world to me and helps keep this channel alive so I can keep creating more content for you. Also, if there's any specific story, topic, or daily life content you'd like me to cover next, please drop a comment below. I read every single one and will do my best to make it for you.
It is so quiet here at night. I love this part of Hanoi.
Back inside, I strip off my worn work clothes and change into a light-fitted white loungewear set. A simple camisole and cotton shorts. Standing before the small round wall mirror, I tie my hair back into a loose bun and apply a bit of moisturizer to my face. Then I sit down at my small study corner. Every single night, I dedicate an hour to self-study English. Writing down new vocabulary in my worn notebook with the black gel pen, I truly believe that education and knowledge are my only ways out of poverty. Once finished, I stretch my arms to release the tension, then turn off the warm desk lamp.
I will improve my pronunciation.
Slipping under the thin blanket on my simple bed, another long, exhausting day comes to an end. Living independently in this city is tough, lonely, and full of sacrifices. Sometimes I feel so overwhelmed and desperately wish I had someone to talk to, a friend to share the burden with. For now, I wish you all a peaceful night and sweet dreams. Good night, and see you in the next video.